Hello, hello, hello. Today we're going to talk about government corruption and a conspiracy that is actually happening. I tried to report on it today and it was taken down off of TikTok. So I'm getting ready right now before my show tonight and I'm going to talk to you about it on YouTube. So not only are the residents' homes not covered by insurance, so they're not going to be able to rebuild on their properties, but now there is a railway system that is set to be placed exactly where their homes were. And this railway system has been in development for almost half a century, but we just didn't know about it. It's all coming to the surface now. By the way, I don't put on makeup in a technique that is proper, so don't judge my makeup techniques. I will literally smear on my foundation with my hands, so just fair warning. So we've all heard about the wildfires that went down in California in January of 2025, and this was highly covered all over the news, obviously all over the world. And there were a lot of examples of people setting these fires intentionally. Well, I have just become aware of an entire railway system that is going to be implemented across the coast of California in almost its entirety in the exact same location as these wildfires took place. The first time that this railway system was thought of was 1979. And it was authorized by Governor Jerry Brown, and that is when he proposed it. And in 1982, he authorized a bill that would take $1.25 billion in bonds for this high-speed railway system between Los Angeles and San Diego. In 1996, so this is a long time after, 14 years, after that bill was authorized in bonds to create this train, in 1996, the company called California High-Speed Rail Authority was created. This corporation was then funded even more in 2008 with $9.95 billion, so $10 billion in state bonds to continue to fund this bullet train. Construction began on this railway system between San Diego and Los Angeles in 2015. So we're seeing that it has been quite a while that this has been drummed up and been planned. And there have obviously been a lot of contracts, a lot of legal documents that have led up to this point, right? But they're not stopping at San Diego and Los Angeles. The proposed train now spans the entire state of California, from San Diego to San Francisco, and even up through Sacramento. It is the United States' first high-speed railway system ever, and they are very excited, as the state of California, as being the first state to implement the United States' first high-speed railway system. This is going to be the first ever. It will go up to 220 miles per hour. And for those who use the metric system, that's about 320 or 350 kilometers per hour. Let's just recap. This railway system was first thought of in the 1970s, right? That was 46 years ago in 1979. The funding began to be established 43 years ago in 1982. They established an actual company to make this happen 30 years ago. So this has been a very, very long time planned. Construction began on this 10 years ago. 10 years ago. And remember, the wildfires just happened in the Los Angeles area and Southern California area just a few months ago. And suddenly, we hear that this high-speed train is going to be expanded to almost the entire state of California. So, save Washington State and Oregon, that is a large part of the western coast of the United States that is going to be taken up by this new high-speed bullet train system. But look, California is super populated. In fact, it is the #1 state in the union as of right now that people are moving to. So it is an extremely popular state for people to move to, for people to live in, and they're like, where are we going to put this train system? Well, they decided to put it in the exact same location as the fires just happened. But obviously, if they've been thinking about this for a while, they already knew it was going to be in that area. They already knew where they wanted to set up this train system. And that suddenly is the same place that these fires happen. Just a side note on this, obviously this is so much money that has already been funneled into this train system project, and it's been very, very, very slow to progress. They're not showing too much bang for their buck at this point, which is, I'm sure, super annoying to the people who have tried to be getting this off the ground for decades. But let's go back to that $9.98 billion. And honestly, that's only $200 million away from 10 billion. So let's just say 10 billion in state bond funding. Under the 2008 Prop 1A, it says that 1/3 of this funding will come from state bonds. So it's not entirely from state bonds. It is only 1/3 from state bonds. Another 1/3 of this $10 billion to fund this bullet train system comes from the federal government. And that is national funds. Obviously, national funds. Okay. And so all of us are funding this at this point. And then 1/3 will come from private investors. So the rich can get richer. We love that. We love that. Oh God, I keep messing this up. Oh God. It's like I can't focus on more than one thing at one time. But let's keep going. So under the Biden administration, they provided more than $3.3 billion from the 2021 bipartisan infrastructure law. So the state had been funding construction through a combination of Prop 1A bonds and cap and trade money from California's greenhouse gas reduction program. Cap and trade money comes from companies who bid at state auctions to buy credits to offset their air pollution emissions. The cap, part of the cap and trade system, is the limits that are placed on polluters' emissions. So companies are required to get permits for each ton of carbon they produce as air emissions. The trade part comes from the ability of companies to trade for additional pollution capacity, buying allowances through auctions or from private sellers whose pollution comes in under their cap. So let's put this in layman's terms. There are permits for carbon limitations, trading that allows pollution capacity that is over the limit, over the cap. So trading allows for additional air pollution over the cap of what is allowed for air pollution. Private investors then can bid at auctions to buy credits to offset this pollution emission. What a corrupt, little twisted and tangled system that someone created. Who created this? It literally was made by a dude, by a person. This system is so corrupt, it allows more pollution than is necessary, more pollution than is allowed federally. And they're bidding and they're trading and they're doing these little auctions to make sure that they can go above what is legally allowed in these carbon emissions. Now let's go back to the point that these wildfires were intentionally set by arsonists. There were plenty of videos showing arsonists setting fires back in the most recent 2025 wildfires in California. In fact, they were lighting fires in sewer systems so that it would go underground and come up when people least expect it, when they're just standing there and there's maybe a vent or some sort of a drain coming from the sewer system, and suddenly a fire will come directly from that and then start spreading along the ground above the sewer system. So they were doing that. California residents even had a citizen's arrest of some people that were creating fires.
And we were able to do a citizen's arrest and detain him until the police had arrived. He had a blowtorch to smoke marijuana because he couldn't afford a lighter. He spoke a lot of Spanish, but did speak some English as well. We had some Spanish-speaking neighbors.
There were so many people being caught just throwing gasoline at the literal fires. There were people who were caught setting fires. There were people who were caught supplying gasoline and then lighting that gasoline on fire in areas that were already very dry near where the wildfires were raging, just to keep it going more. The media had to respond to this because TikTok was blowing up with all of these videos of these arsonists doing these things. And the media was like, well, that's just what happens when there's mass hysteria, and there will always be people trying to make things worse. Which, okay, maybe we could give you that. But there were so many people caught, so many different types of people too. There were homeless people, there were people that were just regular citizens doing this that were seemingly just normal looking. There were people who were undocumented migrants doing this. And it makes you wonder, like, why would they all be doing this? I know that they didn't get together, all these homeless people and undocumented migrants, and say, hey, I'm going to start setting fires. You want to set fires too? Like, what do you think happened here?
All right, so I've got a theory. Like, look at the Earth right now. Yeah, there's some fault lines, there's some quakes, but look at all the fires. Look at all the fires in America. You know what I mean? And then you look closer into Los Angeles, into California, and there's all kinds of fires everywhere. And if you really look at it, you'll notice they're all separate. They're all on their own. They're not connected. And all these fires are starting. They apparently arrested a homeless guy with a blowtorch, and he got off the next day. We got no details on him. But I think illegals are lighting all the fires in California, and it's something nefarious like an NGO.
I mean, there was a man that was even caught with a flamethrower doing this. I'm looking online, by the way. I looked online to show you some of these videos because I have made a YouTube video about this before, and I had several of these videos on that YouTube video showing these arsonists creating fires and citizens and of the neighborhood being upset about it and confronting them. And now I cannot find those videos on Google. I try to search Google, can't find it. Well, we all know that Google is owned by BlackRock, who has investments in this train system and has investments in the insurance agencies that suddenly, just a few months before these wildfires started, decided they didn't want to cover these residents' homes anymore. So not only are the residents' homes not covered by insurance, so they're not going to be able to rebuild on their properties, but now there is a railway system that is set to be placed exactly where their homes were. And this railway system has been in development for almost half a century, but we just didn't know about it. It's all coming to the surface now. It is absolutely wild. And I just want to propose the question to you. So here is my question that I want everyone to kind of mull over, think about, and it's completely up to you. Do you think that it is possible that a government agency or non-government agency, which would be like the CIA, do you think that they had a plan with all of these corporations, all of these insurance agencies, everyone was in on it, that they were going to create these wildfires and have a bunch of unsuspecting people at the mercy of random homeless people that, migrants and so on, that no one's really going to be paying attention to, who are setting these fires. Do you think that these agencies could possibly have paid off some homeless people, paid off some undocumented migrants? Do you think that they could have provided some sort of incentive to do this? Well, I'm not sure, but what I do know is that exactly where these wildfires are is exactly where this train system is going to be. And this went straight up through the west coast of California. All the wildfires that have been happening, even in mid-California, all the way up to Northern California, those wildfires in the past few years are now where this train system is set to go as well. That's not a coincidence. And if it is a coincidence, that's quite a coincidence. That takes a cake on coincidences, to be honest. We all know that it's a setup. I mean, if you have a single brain cell, you would be able to see that this is a setup. It's a setup. Now, let me show you the video that was taken down off of my TikTok, and it was taken down for misinformation. It was giving me a strike on my account, and it said that this video is not allowed to be pushed out to the For You feed. Now, you guys know, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I've been having an ongoing battle with TikTok and their strikes and them banning me several times and them taking down my videos. And it's just been really frustrating trying to get the information out there. And today was no exception. I, put up this video and it quickly began to go viral. And then suddenly it's taken down for misinformation when it is 100% true. But let me just show you that video right now. California is implementing a high-speed railway system in the exact location of where the fires burned down all of the homes very recently. The state of California has been planning this high-speed railway system for years, starting from San Francisco to below the city of Los Angeles. On the left, you will see where fires have completely destroyed areas in California, and it lines up perfectly with where this railway system is going to be set up. All of us who are on TikTok remember in complete detail that there were many people being caught setting fires intentionally in all of these areas when they were on fire. The media passed it off as crazy people who had caught on to the hysteria and were just doing crazy things. But save and share this. Definitely pass it around, because this was not just a recent thing that they decided to do. If this wasn't planned and we're just being so crazy, then we have to say that this definitely is remarkably coincidental. And then they took it down for misinformation. What was misinformation about that? Nothing. I even left it up to the viewer to make up their own mind on what they think is going on, and they still took it down. I'm not misleading the public. I'm not misinforming the public. I'm telling the public exactly what's going on, but TikTok is taking down that video because they don't want you to know things. Now, remember, TikTok is being bought out by some of the top billionaires in this country, one of which owns Oracle, which has been managing the data on TikTok for a few years, and it's based out of Austin, Texas. So they keep saying on the news that TikTok is completely owned by China, and that's not entirely true. It's managed by a company out of Austin, Texas called Oracle, and the person who owns Oracle is the richest person in the world. And they are obviously having ties with BlackRock. They have ties with corporations all over the United States. They have ties with top government agencies, and they do not want this type of information to be given to the public. They want you to be stupid. They want you to be numb in the brain, to be given all of this trash talk. And when I say trash talk, I'm talking a lot, mostly about the TikTok shop that is now set up, the horrible example of capitalism in the United States that has taken over TikTok. There used to not be TikTok Shop. It was all about the information that was being given to the public. That's why people love TikTok so much. The news would go to TikTok first for all of the information that they were going to publish that day. And now that information is null and void. Now TikTok is overrun with a bunch of people who are not really very educated on these topics. They aren't really the point that you would go to for true news, because all of the true news sources have left TikTok or been banned from TikTok. I keep coming back, but look, even that video was taken down. It's not that I don't have the content, it's that they are subduing the content. They're not allowing you to see the content, and that is one of the biggest problems on TikTok right now, and that is why it is going to fail. The reason why people were on TikTok in the first place is because they wanted this information, and now they're not getting it anymore. So they're going to go to other places like X or like Meta, which is very unfortunate because Meta is completely controlled and it is selling your data to China in the first place, which wasn't that the problem. We didn't want China to have our data. Meta was caught selling their data, our data, to China, but they're still allowing that platform to go forward. It really was all about complete control. That's what they wanted. That's what they wanted. They did not want China to be in control at all of what was on the platform. And China was not subduing our information because it didn't care. What's China caring about us exposing our government? They don't care. They want us to know what our government is doing. If anything, they want us to expose our own government. So that is why they're trying to take the complete reign and control away from China and buy TikTok in its entirety so they can continue their capitalist tirade on the app, and they can continue suppressing the real news and the real information that regular people have. Now I am going to go to my show. I have a comedy show tonight. It's going to be at the Chicago Theater Network. It's going to be tonight at 7 p.m. And I know that a lot of people, when you watch this video, it will already be past tonight at 7 p.m. So make sure that you follow me on my Instagram. I post all of my stories there. Be sure to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Just figure out what you think about all of the stories that I post, because I think that these are of major public interest. So make sure that you follow me on Instagram and look at my stories for all of my comedy shows that are coming up next, because I am a comedian and I produce shows in Chicago. I also travel across the United States and have shows across the US as well. So be sure to follow my Instagram at Pitch Dark Paradise so you can see all of those shows that are coming up. And also don't forget to subscribe to this channel, because I'm going to be posting here a lot more. I have recently come to find that the AI bots are the ones that are taking down information and videos off of TikTok and subduing content there. But on YouTube, it is run by actual people and reviewed by actual people, which is way better. And I think that it's easier to get information to you here on YouTube. So subscribe to me here to see all of the information and news stories that I think are of major public interest and are not being promoted on any sort of social media station at this point, or a social media platform at this point rather, and definitely not being reported on the news. Unfortunately, mass media is also controlled by BlackRock and corporations and even religious organizations, and I've reviewed that a lot on this channel as well. I was a DC reporter in Washington, D.C. for a while, and one of the main stations that I worked at was owned by Bonneville International at the time, and Bonneville International was owned by the Jesus Christ Church of Latter-day Saints. There were a lot of things that we couldn't say because it was owned by a religious organization, but that station that I worked at was the #1 grossing talk radio news station in the country. So it's not really fair that religion is dictating what the #1 grossing news station in the nation from Washington, D.C. is producing. And I think that's really important for us to look at, like, who is really pulling the puppet strings behind media. I'm not in the media anymore. I have gone more back into entertainment and back into comedy, which was what I was doing even before I was a reporter. I really wanted to be a reporter though, but I know that it's completely controlled. If you want more information, again, hear about different news and different things that the public needs to know about, definitely subscribe to my channel. But thanks you guys for watching, and let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and have a great whatever time it is to you. Bye.